Welcome to 101. I'm Greg Bassett, your host from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. It's a big day here at PAC 14. We need some relief, and we've got our friend Delegate Carl Anderton in the house. Welcome, sir.
How you doing, brother?
So we wanted to have you on when you got back from Annapolis, but you had a lot going on, and we finally get you here as summer's getting close,
Yeah,
and we can talk about all the fun stuff that's going on.
sure. I mean, let's have that conversation. I wanted to get here, earlier. We had, scheduled a date, but, post-pandemic, when you have a cold and you're coughing, people immediately kind of.
They don't want to be anywhere near you.
I get it. I didn't want to be near me either, so I couldn't control the cough. I couldn't hide it, and so I said, well, I'm not going to sit here and cough in front of this man and do this interview. So we're here now.
And as someone that no one
Yes.
wants to be near, I know the feeling. I
Right.
mean, I have that. I live that on a daily basis, so I know what that's like.
I like you, man. I think you're like just above average. So,
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Now, how was Annapolis this session? New governor, just so many new things, like a big readjustment period going in after your last election.
Better than I could have expected. When it comes to legislation, I mean, there was good stuff and bad stuff, of course. That happens every year. But the relationship with the administration, we're in a really good spot. Of course, our team, starting with, Chris and Cherie and Mary Beth, Johnny, Charles Otto, Wayne Hartman, Tom Hutchinson, all of us together, we're on separate committees and we all have our circles we travel in, and we were able to do a really lot of cool stuff for Title Health, dealing with the trauma funding. The county executive had her priorities. We were able to meet her priorities. Get a lot of cool things in the budget that were requested locally, and all in all, I'd say it was a really good session, especially for one not knowing what to expect as you go in. We ended up in a really good spot.
See, now I could never figure out how to measure the success of the session. Part of me is all about how much money can we obtain from the state and bring home.
Right.
But at the same time, you've got to represent a lot of issues. So,
Sure.
like when you're dealing with the Chamber of Commerce, the local Chamber of Commerce, they're not about the money so much. They have issues that affect the business workplace.
Yeah, absolutely.
And those are the things that they want influence on. So talk about some of that back and forth between money and issues.
Yeah, again, like I said, how we're all kind of divvied up with our expertises, and so for me, I focus on the budget. I focus on the budget. When Salisbury, Delmar, Fruitland, anybody on the lower shore is asking for something, we're doubling down on it, tripling down in the House on appropriations, making sure that it's in the budget, working with the administration to get it put in the budget properly, so we don't have to worry about putting it in. We can just fight to keep it in. And so that's our issue. And then I kind of rely on Chris, and Cherie when it comes to economic issues. I rely on Hutchinson when it comes to, health issues, Otto with the environment, and Mary Beth and Johnny keep us posted on what's going on across the street. And then I work with leadership over there, when the budget heads over to the Senate or vice versa. And so, we all, I carry everybody's priorities, and then, they keep me kind of abreast of what's going on legislatively. And so it's a really good mix. And I think that's why we've been able to be so successful.
And you've been the point man locally on the disparity grant, which I almost think is embarrassing that the county needs a disparity grant.
It is embarrassing,
That
but if it's there, we're going to get it.
It's given to poor counties.
Yes. We're poor but proud.
We're poor but proud. But that number is up again this year. I
Yes,
think.
absolutely. And the governor added some extra to that based, on top of the legislation we passed a couple years ago for the full restoration of that money. That was cut, some 10 years ago. And
During the recession, it was one of the monies that
there were a
went
lot of
away
things that were
along
cut,
with-
how we use revenues, disparity grant, things like that. So we were able to pluck these one by one to get them restored and put back in place. And so the county, is getting $15 million this year. That's going to help, as local jurisdictions received all this federal funding, and some were wise in how they handled it, some were not, and so the ones that were not, are going to be seeing deficits. And there's just a couple places here locally that you see are upside down funding wise, and you see some that are in a very good spot. And so, so we've been able to kind of try to help where we can, with the ones that are upside down, and continue to support, the ones that have been budgeting the proper way.
Well, you're being kind, and I'll say it. This city of Salisbury has a deficit problem. They're having to raise taxes, and part of the big part of the problem is the emergency services, fire services support for the county. That payment from the county is less than what they need. But also, I don't know if it's been mismanaged or not, but they did rely on a lot of the COVID money, put it into the budget. That money's gone now. And to keep things funded the same way, you're going to have to raise taxes.
Yeah, and so that's the issue is when you receive those one-time bumps, you have to know ahead of time they're one-time, and you have to forecast out 10 years. Okay, this money's going to be gone. How are we going to handle this? And you need to adjust your initial spending, accordingly to be able to absorb it 10 years from now and not just blow it all at once and say, we'll figure it out later. Because later's here now. It's like taking your credit card. You just max that thing out, and you say, oh, okay, shoot. Now how do I figure this out?
Right.
Because there was no forethought given. And so, it's not to impugn anyone at all, but I just think that, things could have probably been done a little differently, a little phased in with some of the funding, some of the things that were spent. But now we're all collectively have to deal with it, this $4.5 to $5 million shortfall. And it's a real shame that property taxes have to increase. But when you increase spending every year and you lower or maintain property taxes each year, you create this divide. And now we're at this point where we have to bring it together. And, we'll do what we can at the state level, but, a lot of this has to be some constrained spending in-house. And hopefully the city council and the mayor will tighten their belts just like we all have to do.
Right.
I'm tightening my belt right now. I literally have been spending this week going through all of our bills to see what we can renegotiate, move our insurance to somebody cheaper.
These are real people, real problems.
Right. Yes, of course they are.
The state is in a similar situation.
Yes.
The last revenue outlook was not good, so there might be a problem next year.
Yeah, so it's the same thing. And, I think, this budget was done pretty well. Take care of some one-time items now, kind of like what the county's doing. They're doing a lot of one-time spending. So that way it's gone. When you're forecasting next year, you have to look at the numbers differently than what you see today, because a lot of that's not planned for next year anyway. So, like the county and the state, and some places have done it the right way where you plan ahead for this dip. And so I don't think it's going to be as bad. It looks today when you look at the budget, you're like, holy moly, where are they going to find this difference? But when you take out the one-time spending things, it's not as bad as it appears.
One thing from when I used to cover the legislature that I learned is that a win is a win. And
sure.
Anytime you win, it's a big deal.
You celebrate that thing.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So the county, Wycomico County won with getting permission to have a sewer authority so we could address some of our sewer. But there were a couple things that disappointed some people. And I just want to talk about a couple of them if I can. One was the not dark water. Is it dark water? The
gray water?
Gray water bill that would have affected Bull Lips down in Whitehaven. This is a remote bar out in the marsh. There's rules about the disposal of stuff. There was a legislation that basically only impacted them and maybe one other business in the county, and it didn't get anywhere. Yeah,
those are always difficult. There were some things that were requested that, the owners didn't want to do at the time, and but we were able to work it out locally. That's kind of from MDE, we were kind of told, well, look, we're going to give you a checklist, and if you knock this out, you don't need the legislation. So when we got that, then we were able to kind of take our focus off of that piece of legislation and move it somewhere else. So it wasn't as much of a necessity as we thought it was in December. And so we were able to focus elsewhere because we knew that they were willing to put in the well and do the things they need to do with the food truck and all this. And we were able to take care of that locally so they can be up and running, I hope, this weekend.
Okay.
So this weekend or next weekend. I know they're getting close.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
That'll be real good.
And then the other one that was interesting, and it reminded me of a when I used to play club rugby, which I was not very good at, where I could never figure out where the ball was. The liquor bill for Wycomico reminded me that. We had no idea who had the ball, where the ball was going, and all that stuff, and it ended up kind of being fumbled on a lot of ends.
Right.
What were your thoughts about how that legislation, it was to get rid of the dispensary system or change the dispensary system in Wycomico County?
Yeah, I thought, the county executive had a great plan, with moving to a hybrid type format. Like the dispensary, has a stranglehold on, how people acquire their spirits in their time of relaxation, and same for restaurants as well. And if they want to stay open, but just compete. I've been hearing from local restaurants and businesses for a decade now about, this is an issue. And every other county around us has opened it up. It's us in Montgomery County.
Right.
We're the only two counties left. And I love my people in Montgomery County. I got people there. But you don't really want to be compared to Montgomery County in a lot of ways.
Well, for them, it's a revenue strangulation.
Right,
they bring in about $160, $180 million a year in alcohol fees. So they don't want to change their system.
But, for us...
We barely bring in $1 million.
Right. The county executive made a point, and I applaud her for that. She said, if I can't absorb that, then I shouldn't be county executive. I thought it was brilliant. I liked it. You put your stuff right on the table and said, I got this, then we should let her get it. And so I thought the hybrid was a great compromise. You have people who collect bougie liquors and things like that, and afraid they still can't get their $500 whiskey or whatever. I mean, I don't get to see the point personally between a $500 bottle of whiskey. I mean, give me a $5 bottle of Mad Dog and I'm good. Tailgate rules is tailgate rules.
Yeah, it's a tailgate.
But nonetheless, I think that we have the opportunity to come back next year and take care of this and do it the right way. They've formed a task force that's looking at this. I mean, it's common sense that tells you have to open up the mart of competitive commerce and let people compete, and so hopefully we'll do the right thing and get another shot at it next year.
Now, the previous governor, Larry Hogan, you obviously had a very special relationship with him.
Yeah, Uncle Larry's a good guy.
And he was good about getting us some money. Mm-hmm. So I remember like a year ago or so, you and Jake Day, then the mayor of Salisbury, had a news conference, and you were able to tout all the money that came from the state for the city of Salisbury. They gave us some money for the Shorebird Stadium for the county. There was money for the junior achievement for their building. There were just like lots of projects where the state would kick in some money kind of under the radar, the General Assembly, where the governor has some discretion. Is that going to continue with the new governor? What can we expect?
Well, I got to tell you, as much of a relationship as I had with Governor Hogan, I mean, me and Governor Moore is amazing. He's a man of his word. I love that about a person, man. When you say what you mean what you say. And so we hit it off, from the start. And I mean, where we can work together, I'll be standing right with him. There's going to be times we disagree, and, we'll agree to disagree, and we'll look forward to the next thing where we can work together on. We're going to do this the right way. He's a great guy, awesome human being, and he's my brother. And so I look forward to continuing to work with him. And we had a great start this year. We got some really cool things coming. So it's going to be really cool. There's some things coming to the SU that we're working on, the airport, of course, more funding for Purdue Stadium, because we have to be on par with everybody else. I don't want to just be on par. I want to be better than. We're looking to do some things at the Civic Center. We're looking to do things all across the county. And so, infrastructure, it's just, we're looking, working with commerce to attract business here. People are looking to move to more rural areas to do things, and so, the governor's kind of saying, "Here, talk to this person, and it's just really amazing because, this time last year we're talking about the election, and we're like, well, we'll figure it out as we go, and I tell you, the Lord blessed us, man. I mean, truly, I like I said, I know there's things we disagree on, and that's cool, but this guy, this governor, this man, this person, my brother, wants to see us thrive, and I'm here for it. And,
well, you mentioned the airport, and I'm glad you did, because I noticed when he was in town, he made a stop at the airport, and he was over talking to Tony Rudy for a long time. And I couldn't figure out what they were talking about. I wanted to go over there and figure it out, but it was like everyone was taking pictures of it.
Well, I can't tell you everything at once,
right.
brother.
But he was obviously interested, and Tony's a nice guy, but he's not a real social guy, so they weren't. They, I don't think they were talking about the Ravens or anything like that.
No, not at all. Right.
He was picking Tony's brain on some stuff, and I think the governor was doing most of the talking. So obviously something was up with the airport.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But you'll have to tune in next week. So, just like you were talking about the TV shows you watch. If I give you everything in the season opener, there's no point to watch the finale.
Well, see, if you're going to be on HBO, I'm going to get rid of you. So that
no, I'm over the air, man. I'm cheap. Get you an antenna, brother.
You're OTA. The other thing I noticed about the governor, and I can't imagine being the governor, being a new governor, everyone's trying to get his ear on stuff.
Right.
He was in Cambridge at Snappers, celebrating the 100th day of his being in office. The lieutenant governor was there. And just the amount of people who all wanted to ask him for something.
Right.
whether it was a picture which he could accommodate, or I need a new road, which that's not his thing.
And that's not the time or place to do that.
Exactly.
Either.
And I just can't imagine what it's like for him. How do you approach him? Do you try to be like a sort of an oasis for him where he can talk about anything? Or
Absolutely.
Can you get in there and ask for stuff? How does that work?
I don't talk any business in those types of scenarios, because you're constantly, asked for this and asked for that, and I need this and I need that, and I've known the governor for a while now, before he was governor, so we have a baseline to work off of, and so we're able to talk about just whatever, and so in scenarios like that, other people do, and that's their thing. That I didn't do that with Governor Hogan either. There's a time and place for those conversations, and there's a time and place just to be my brother. You know what I mean? Just to hang out. Relax and just enjoy being with me.
Well, you all were seen together at the Preakness.
Oh yeah. Well, had to watch the horses run.
It's a great Maryland tradition.
It is, absolutely.
We've got to support it.
Yeah, and but I don't bet on races. I really don't. I'm so tight with my money that, the thought of losing $10 outweighs the thought of winning 100 for me. But it was a good time had by all. It was great just kind of being there, just kind of hanging out without all the, Bruno Mars was there.
Right.
I mean, it's whatever. But I went and saw it.
Everybody said he's a lot shorter than they thought.
Yeah, I'd say he looked pretty small up on stage. So,
yeah.
But I mean, it's not really my thing, but yeah, that was good. It was a good time, it's going to be a great summer here locally, and I look forward to having the governor back over. We're going to tour some more things and just kind of hang out in different areas. And I hope to get him down to Bull Lips.
That would be fun.
We're going to work on that, and so we're going to see what we can do.
That would be way fun.
Yeah.
My guy who's my managing editor at the Daily Times for 30, 35 years, however long I've known him, Eric Saylor, said if you get Carl in the chair, ask him why in the heck the Maryland legislature does everything in 90 days. This is ridiculous that they have to throw everything in 90 days, that all the, everything comes crashing in at the last second. There's all this confusion. Why don't they have, 2-3 month terms? Even Delaware, goes year round practically.
Where they space them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
There has been
has there been talk about this?
This is, they've done it this way for 450 years because of, farming and, life at that time.
Right.
And they've just never changed it. But imagine if we were there all year.
What havoc you could create.
Yeah, all the bad stuff they could have. So it's kind of like,
well, and you are there all year. There's a summer session.
Oh yeah, no, I'm headed there today, right after this. So I'm leaving to head up there as soon as we're done here, and to start working on next year's budget. So we are up there all year. At least on a weekly basis, if not more. But legislatively, I if as long as it was the same time frame, if they wanted to space it up to give you gaps in between, I'm fine with that. That probably wouldn't be a bad thing because they give you an opportunity to network in between mini sessions to say, instead of trying to do, a conversation with 50 different people in one day, you'd have 2 weeks to get it done. It's not bad. Delaware, I think they do a good thing with that.
Well, like this year, you guys were working 20, 22 hours a day. And then all of a sudden, it's Easter, so you got to go home for a day.
Yeah.
And then you come back on the Monday.
One day.
And you're back working 23 hours on the Monday to get everything done before the end of the session. It just seems pretty inefficient. I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, it's good and bad. But no, I appreciate the question, and I do think Delaware, has a good option. That's the way they do things.
How are things going at Delmar? I don't get up there as much as I used to cut some grass up there, and I don't cut grass in Delmar anymore. I'm still cutting grass in Laurel, but not in Delmar. How are things in Delmar?
Paving streets, man. It's good to see how our user revenue is being used. Fruitland is always doing something. I mean, what's going on with Fruitland is amazing. Every year I'm down there, man. Every summer, every time I'm riding through, man, they're fixing sidewalks, paving streets, they're doing things. Of course, Salisbury's, paving streets, and I know, they're changing up streets, and some are good, some are not.
It's all good.
I mean, For some folks,
people just need to leave Salisbury, go to another town, and realize everyone else did this 10 years ago.
Yeah, some of them did it better though.
I understand.
But anyway,
I understand.
I'm a big fan of traffic circles. I will say that. I know a lot of people watching this now will immediately say, "Oh, that guy's terrible," But hey, I hate stopping.
It's excellent. The traffic circle is
stopping.
Excellent.
I just ask my wife when we drive to Montreal. Every time I have to stop somewhere, she's like, "I'm flipping out." So I love circles, but for traffic. But yeah, to see Delmar paving streets now and working on the infrastructure up there, it's really cool, man. It's really cool when you see the fruit of your labor, growing. It's just an honor and it's an amazing feeling. And every day I wake up, man, excited that I get to serve my neighbors. I know it sounds cliche, and I know me saying that is cliche, saying it's cliche, but I mean it. It's just amazing, and I'm just blessed, man. I get to sit here with you. You know what I'm saying? You know how cool that is?
No.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
But I'm so envious of people who live in Delmar because it's such a tight community where everyone really cares so much about each other, and it's kind of like Snow Hill that way. They're all in everybody's
we're in
business.
everybody's business. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But the alignment with the school system there and just the concern, and there's some great renovations that are going to happen right there at the baseball park.
Yeah, that's going to be a nice change when that happens. It's going to hopefully alleviate some traffic at the elementary school, which has been an issue for years and years. We've been trying to work on solutions. And I think we may have something that's going to help that out. So just have patience. Bear with us till we get that done. And hopefully it'll make it a little easier to get down Fosky Lane. But yeah, Delmar, man, is amazing. I mean, anytime I'm doing something in the yard or something, somebody's stopping by wanting to talk, and that's great. I love it. But it's just, it's home. Yeah.
What are the rules about approaching someone in their yard? Garrison Keeler had a theory from Lake Wobegon that if you're on the front porch, you're fair game. Anybody can approach you. But if you're in the backyard, don't go back there.
So what I do is when I'm door knocking, if somebody's in the backyard, and if you hear this, you'll know where it came from. I kind of walk up the driveway and say, "Yo!" Now at first, when we first started doing this in 2014, people are like, "Oh, who is this guy?" Now, they've recognized, and when I come up, "Yo," they'll either say, "Oh gosh," or they'll say, "Hey man, I got a question," And so it's, so that's my thing. If you're in the front yard, I just walk right. "Hey, what's going on?" But if you're in the backyard, I'm not going to go in your backyard. I'm going to yell from the driveway, "Yo!" and see if you'll respond and come back. So
what gets me is I have a rundown house in a nice neighborhood. So if I'm out cutting the grass,
we could be related.
Exactly. If I'm out cutting the grass, every realtor stops and wants to talk to me about buying my house. And I'm cutting the grass.
The thing is abandoned or something?
No, it's just kind of it's gentrification,
Right.
I've got a 70-year-old house, and everyone else has torn down the house and built McMansion type stuff, and then there's my little house. But I've got this lawnmower that overheats, so if I turn it off, I can't turn it back on for like 20 more minutes because it's hot. I have to go pour water on it and stuff. So these people want to come talk to me when I'm in the yard. So I've taken now to cutting grass at 11:30. Like on a Wednesday in the morning, because there won't be anybody driving by.
Right.
So I just wonder what the rules are about approaching the houses.
Yeah, I think that's kind of, I think we've nailed it. I mean, if you're in the backyard, I kind of leave you alone unless, I can yell at you.
So do people still, when they have every problem, call their delegate?
Yeah, we encourage it. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't want to bother you. I want to try to take care of it myself.
No, I want to be bothered. I mean, that's what we're here for. I want to be bothered. If you have an issue, you let me know. I mean, it was in Walmart yesterday. I try to break up and hit different grocery stores throughout the month, and I try to be everywhere where I think people are, so that way people can, if they have an issue. If you have an issue, I'm here. I mean, it's the point. I mean, we're working on some things now for some folks that are having issues with funding for food, still unemployment issues, folks looking for jobs, so we're trying to connect people with, places that we know that are hiring. I mean, it's a much different scenario than it was just a few years ago with everybody unemployed, looking for help with their unemployment. Now everybody's looking for work, and so I'm pulling the stuff together and sending them places that I know that are hiring, and so it's just really cool. And I think it's cool that we started. I don't like to take credit for things, but I think I'm going to take credit for being the first person to give up my cell phone number. Everywhere, 443-359-1335, and to see everybody else doing it now, I think is amazing, because now it's like everybody's accessible now. That was one of the reasons why I ran, is because for my own legislator, I had to speak with his secretary instead of speaking directly with the guy that is supposed to be serving me, and so I never wanted to be in that situation. So if, hopefully there's no one who has no inability to reach me directly, because that's how it works. I'm at the bottom, everybody else is over top.
Yeah, I had someone recently just say that they were talking about a public official, and they said, when I call him, he'll call me back. It'll take a while, 10 days, 2 weeks sometimes, but he'll call me back.
Yeah.
But he said when you call Carl Anderton, he answers on the third ring.
Yeah, I do my best, and there are times that I'll miss a call, and then I try to call it back in the order that I get it. But yeah, it's that's what we're here for. It's not the pomp and circumstance. It's not, ribbon cuttings. It's not, taking your picture with citations. It's answering the phone and helping folks when they're jammed up.
You had a birthday last week. How old did you turn?
Oh, well, how old do you think I am, brother?
41.
My man. You all right, my book. So I turned 50.
Congratulations.
Why does everybody say you've lived half your life?
Oh, no. When I turned 50, my life was pretty much over then. Yeah.
What?
It's all been downhill since then.
No, man. Look at you. You're a mountain of a man.
Yeah, I'm a mountain
You're
of a man.
You're amazing, man. Amazing, man. You got a full head of hair mostly.
It's a toupee.
Yeah, it's nice. Well, it's a strong look.
Yeah.
Strong look.
Yeah, it's the Phil Donahue look. No one remembers who Phil Donahue was. But 50, well, congratulations.
Yeah.
How much longer do you want to do this? Your predecessor, I think, was 74.
Not that long. No.
Can you go another 24 years?
No, we're not. It's not meant for that. It's not meant for that. My wife's going to tell me very soon, I think, to enough's enough. You can tell each year it's like more and more of, I'm tired of this from her, because you're gone 4 months out of the year.
Right.
And so, we're getting very close to that, and so I've always said, I'll stop when she tells me to stop, because she has a time limit in her head. Or, when my neighbors say, okay, I've had enough of this guy, so, and it's coming soon. So I'm not a lifer. I didn't sign up to do this for 20 years or anything like that. No, not at all.
He's Carl Anderton. He's our delegate, District 38.
B, bro.
B is in bro. District 38B. He lives up in Delmar. Represents Salisbury, North Salisbury.
Fruitland.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of a weird district, and we're thrilled that he had time to be with us here today. Thank you, Carl.
I appreciate you, brother.
We'll see you at the Ravens tailgate this winter. Are guests invited? Can I bring people along?
Sure, of course. The more the merrier, man. I always put out every Sunday where we are.
You're in Lot H?
Yeah, Lot H. Come on by, man. We got Scrapple for everybody.
Oh, that's awesome.
Scrapple and Colt 45.
Carl Anderton, thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm Greg Bassett from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. Another edition of 101 right here on PAC 14.
First Shore Federal is proud to support PAC 14 and one-on-one. We'd encourage every business to support PAC 14 and pick a program and support it, and let's make a difference.